Hello everybody and welcome to another knockoff review. In today's video we're taking a look at the last offering in the Oversize Maketoys Guardia series from the team over at YesModel. This is the VULCAN figure, aka Hotspot, and yeah, he's a big chunky monkey. It's only taking like a year to get this guy out, but he's finally here. So those of us that have stuck by and got the others in the series, the Lancet, the Medical Corps, the Rover and the Axle, we finally now have VULCAN. We do have the additional gun that comes with this set as well. I believe when we got these issued first time around there was two left-hand guns as opposed to a left and a right. But now we have both. Very much looking forward to getting this guy combined up. First of all, let's just take a look at Hotspot himself. Very much like the Maketoys version, only much larger. Very robust figure. Obviously I've got all of his auxiliary armor on him, which does make him a tad back heavy. He does come with that rather large gun as well, which can be separated into the two guns. It's a nice big solid chunk of a figure. I don't know why this got delayed as long as it did. I think they just kept refining things, tweaking and adjusting, but it looks the part. It is a big solid piece. I fear that they may have missed the opportune market, really. I think a lot of these companies now are going bigger and bigger, and I'm not entirely sure there's a huge demand for chug style figures anymore. But I think those of us who did stick with this design, we're not going to be let down, I don't think. I mean, if we've got the likes of the Generation Toys Gravity Builder or Warbatron, for example, then this is designed to scale with those. So it definitely should look the part. Maybe like the MMC Predaking, that sort of size. So if we still collect those, then this is definitely going to look good with them. It's designed to scale, and aesthetic wise it's always going to match those. Just for some reason Maketoys did make their figures a lot shorter. The other companies kind of went in at a Voyager scale, and Maketoys decided to go in at a kind of deluxe scale. So YesModel, being the opportunists that they are, decided to jump in and give us a more adequately sized figure. And here we have the whole team together, and they do look pretty darn decent. Then the first aid is still one of my favourites out of that entire set. We still need an MP Defensor. No doubt we're probably going to get 15 of those at once. but hey, I do love how these guys look as a team. Hotspot's the only one that's slightly, once I take all of that kind of power armor off, then he does kind of look a lot sleeker, I guess. But the idea is that everything can be stored on him. Do you remember when they were going to kind of KO Utopia and oversize him, or they were going to do a straight up of him as well? That's one figure I do still very much need to get, is Utopia. It looks like a very great version of Metroplex. Hey, that is for maybe another day. But for now, this is the entire YesModel oversized Maketoys Guardia team. I'd love to get Hotspot on my turntable, but his kind of width is just too much going on. So I need to either get a bigger turntable or stick to smaller figures. Everything pegs in remarkably tight on this, and the plastic is very robust, so you have to be careful you don't cut yourself on it, because it's a very firm, secure plastic. The guns can of course separate like so. Let's just quickly cover the articulation with all of this armor on. It does kind of improve somewhat when we remove the armor. It's a really nice sculpt on that head. It can look up and down, left and right inside there. Not really the most kind of G1 inspired heads, but then again, it's not really a G1 inspired set. Arms can come up to the side, go all the way around. There's so much hindrance with everything that we've got going on inside here. These can move up and down on a ratchet joint as well. So can sit lower down like so. We do have a pivot on that elbow, comes up and down. There's a rotation, both upper and lower. We do get a rotation on that bicep. There's a waist rotation. There is an abdominal crunch. Maketoys were doing abdominal crunches before they were cool. They were one of the first companies out there that decided to jam-pack their figures full of articulation. We do have hip skirts to the front, allowing for legs to come this far forwards. Really gorgeous, smooth ratchets on these legs. Out to the side is a very strong ratchet. There's an upper thigh rotation, again done on a lovely ratchet joint. Really nice bend on those knees. We get pivots on those ankles, again done on a ratchet joint, and there's up and down on the toes, again done on a ratchet. So very ratchety, very clicky, very solid looking piece. And now let's start to remove some of this armor. The leg guards just tab in. They just plug in on both sides, and I will transform this up into fire engine as well, just so it's that little bit easier to get into his combine mode. So we'll just start to transform this up. You want to do this with both sides, so you're left with the side panel of the fire engine. I do love that we've already got preempted kind of rubber strips along here as well for when it forms the base of the feet. That's something we don't actually have to add in ourselves, although they seem to have stuck mine on, albeit this is a pre-production sample that was sent to TF Direct. They stuck these rubber strips on and have something stuck behind it. So, but that definitely is an essential piece, especially on kind of display bases like mine where they tend to slip. These will be fantastic in detolfs. Got these huge rocket chunk pieces on the back here. Now they do separate, and there's a hand inside. We'll do that later. So we'll detach that. This here slides in like so. These are just going to untab just from behind those shoulders, just to give that a little tug, and remove this piece here. Now it's highly recommended that you loosen these two screws here. These are very tight, and if you look where these pull down, that section there kind of rocks, and there's a little bit of flex on this panel here, which there shouldn't be. So if you loosen this one slightly and this one slightly, this should move a lot easier without flexing at all. So there we go. You need this to be flat like so. And coming back around this panel here, which is going to form all of his kind of backpack, that could just untab, just so you get an idea of what he looks like without. See, I think that actually looks more in keeping, which isn't a terrible look for Hotspot Ready. I mean, it's a lot more sleeker and kind of in keeping with the rest of the figures in the line. But I just think it's nice to have options. We need to bring this up and over. These hip skirts are going to come up, come round to these feet, bring these down, bring those down to the bottom, like so, like this. And this is not the easiest part to get into. Use a tool or something to get those open. I used safety scissors because that's what I had to hand. Obviously, if you can use something plastic to avoid any damage, then that's obviously preferable. You want to slide these legs all the way down. If you look on the inside, there's a tab, so we can push that down. When we all the way down to the bottom, we know we're there, because it should There we go. Back off. So again on this side, just slide this joint down, push and lock, secure this in, and if you look, these two faux wheels on the inside should line up, push and tab in together. Just make sure this section here is out of the way. Hip skirts come up around the back, they're going to rotate and come and fill in this void here. The feet panels are going to rotate. This hinge comes all the way up like so, and if you look, there's these tabs just here. This is going to come down and this should push, locate and tab in on either side. Bring this hinge all the way down, and this can just come down to the back. Come around to this head section, make sure the head is straight. This piece here untabs, and what you need to do, we need to push this section here down so it's straight, and as you can see it kind of lays against the inside of here, so we have to push that down, and as we push that down, that allows that to go down fully. Now it kind of just sinks inside. We can then bring these shoulders up. These are going to rock all the way up to the top like so. This comes up and hinges up. This is going to come out, hinge around, so it returns to where it should be. And then there's this tab just here that's going to push and locate, and then just push and tab those in. I apologise for any noise that this back piece here is making, it rubbing against the back section. But yes, that's this front piece. You want to do this with both sides. Right now we need to just adjust these shoulder sections. Now they only go in a particular route. You want to open up these arm panels, and they're going to unfold, and we need to get it so this is going to rotate this way. There we go, and that's going to fold in. This collapses down. This then rotates and unfolds like this. There we go. You know that, yeah, when you got it straight, it should all line up, and these two pieces here are going to line up in the center, and you can see there we've got two tabs which push and tab in. The fists just sit either side here. These then come down, and you can see we've got this panel here. This just comes out like so, like that. This can then come down like this, push and tab in here and here, and then this will then push, he says, and lock in around here, securing all of this panel into position. So let me come around and do the same on this side. Just lift this piece up, bring this one down, make sure you line this one up accordingly so we can tab in here and here and here. Push to make sure that that's in firmly, and then close all that off. It's starting to come together, isn't it? These wheels here slide out. I like that. And slide out, so they're now parallel with these, and then we can make sure that this is sitting square and this sits square, this sits nicely and this sits nicely, and then these panels here are going to come down and these will come in and just push. Then bring in the rear end of the fire engine, and you can see there's a tab here and here. These are going to line up accordingly. You have to apply a fair amount of force to get those to click in. There we go. But once they're in, they are in, and these bits here should just push and should slot down either side like this, sliding that in nicely. And then you've got these tabs at the top like so. Oh, that's very, very satisfying indeed. We can then extend the ladder like so. And finally, let's just tidy up the back here. You've got 2 sets of tabs. Oh, come on. One. Don't fail me now. There we go. And on the other side. There we go. There we go. We have one very delightful looking fire truck. Now the only downside I think to this is I would really have liked rubber tires on here as opposed to plastic ones, but that's just me nitpicking really. All in all, I mean, it's a beautiful piece. It's a large, robust piece. It fits together remarkably well. That's props to Maketoys for the original engineering, and then to Yes Model for doing a fantastic job with it. I mean, but that's a very substantial fire engine, which kind of rolls. These don't roll as well as I'd like. It's probably just a little bit of... No, it should roll. It should roll. It's just probably not enough traction on my display base, but that's not bad, is it? That's not bad at all. And of course, if you choose to, we can add the weapons on here as well. This is going to tab in on here. So let's just move this around and open up this piece like so. And that's just going to slide and tab in. It does tab in nice and firmly as well. And then this panel just sits in there into that void. And if you look, there is a tab here and a tab here. That can just slide in like so. So we now have the weapons stored as well. This really does kind of come across as a very kind of Cybertronian fire engine. It's a good mix between the two, I think. It's got some resemblance to an Earth fire engine, but then it's kind of jam-packed. It almost bears a bit of a resemblance to Prime from Cybertron or Galaxy Force. It's got that kind of vibe to it, but it's a very hefty piece and not fragile at all. Very robustly made. Genuinely very impressed. Just before we take a look at his combined mode, I would just like to show you him against MP10. I don't have many figures to hand for a scale comparison, but that is the oversized version of Cybertron Optimus Prime from Siege. And personally, I think that actually looks really good, how they fare up. And of course, MP10 as well. So, I mean, it's a fairly substantial piece. It's not quite MP scale, in my opinion. It is definitely that kind of large chug or classics kind of scale. Right now, before we get him combined up, let's just combine up his weapons, you're going to need both of these. These are part and parcel. I've got too many pieces here. I've been given too many parts as we've gone along, I think. But these, just going to push and slide like so. This is then going to come over and push, slide and lock into place. And just a matter of kind of working these pieces over that lip and then pushing those in like so. There's a bit of a stretch on those bits there, but it went in. There we go. That's one of the guns. So you're left with one that looks like this. Detach the launchers from the side like so. These separate like this. We've got a thumb here. The hands are going to fold outwards like so and push and tab in. We can then bend and adjust the fingers, making them look more natural, and the thumb itself can come down and lock in like so, making it kind of a much more natural looking hand like this. This back panel piece detaches like so. This is going to come round and this will come round and this will form the chest panel. Yeah. Nicely done. Still concerned about this little section here, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to be fine. And you want to lift this up, so of course it's tabbed in. I tabbed that in on the top of these. Oh, there we go. That's up. And this actual panel here, just move that down. This tabs in to the head. If you want to, there we go. That just comes out, and we can straighten this up. This comes down, and we have these panels here. These can now tab in and tab in, and we want to move this section out of the way for now. These panels can detach. Oh, they are super tight in there. This lifts up and this comes around like so, and when we put the feet in, they'll kind of slide in. So you need to do that with both sides. Again, with this side, just detach, lift this up, bring this around, and those are going to form the feet. Again, really love the rubber that they've added to those. That do make a world of difference. The head's going to come up for now. We can then detach these. This comes untabbed like so, and these are going to fold back down. Again, on this side, just make sure it comes untabbed. There we go. Bring those down. I've pushed these wheel pieces back inwards. That's where they're going to need to go. We can separate these legs. These are going to untab and untab like so. We're going to bring these panels down and down like so, because this entire waist piece is going to rotate around. Pop this front panel up like so, which now allows us to untab this piece. So he's going to come up to the back. Legs are going to rotate around, so this forms the front. Leg come out, rotate around, so that forms the front. So as you can see, this comes down. That's going to rotate like so, and this has a tab which is going to push and lock in to the back like so. That's now really firm and secure, and that's going to hold all of those leg panels into place when we add the legs. Separate these top panels, tabbed in at a couple of different places on that front piece, as well as some places on these back panels. I think there's making panels tight, and then there's making panels tight, isn't there? Come on, there we go. Right, we need to bring this joint up, and same on this side, bring this joint up. I'm going to talk you through these shoulders. They're not overly complex, but you just need to know how to do it first. First of all, let's move this joint upwards and bring these around to the front, and same with this side, bring that around all the way to the front, like so. That's going to push, lock and tab into position. These need to come down to the side, like so. This needs to come down, out of the way. This panel here is going to fold upwards, and this wheel piece flips up, so it's at the top, like so. And then this is basically going to just rock into position, and these, moving this section out of the way, are going to come down, and as you can see, there is a tab like so, and then that should also tab in just on that shoulder, securing that into position. That side was definitely a lot tighter to get in, but it's in now. These sit nicely against those. That's locked fairly substantially in there. And with those arms just out of the way, we're going to bring the head up. That's going to come up like so. And that's going to come up, and that will come over like this. And then the idea now is we're going to compress these arms down, and they'll fold up, in theory, nice and tidily, and fill in this void. Make sure this hinge is rotated inwards. There's only one way that it will go, so this piece here will collapse fully into this void. This piece here is going to tab into the top of that fire truck, like so, securing into place. This will then collapse downwards. It's going to push in firmly. Just got to make sure that you do this top one first, so that one locks into position like so. That way, when this folds inwards, these panels here should line up nice and tightly. Like so. And again, that just pushes and tabs in and locks into the top of that fire engine. A very firm piece, and that's for certain. Now we can just extend the head. This piece here slides in. Make sure that the wheels are up and straight. And this is going to slide in and secure into position. And then we can just make sure that the head lines up with those neck panels. Like so. And with the wheel panel pointed inwards, these are then going to slide down and lock into position. And again, on this side, slide that all the way in and push and lock that into position. And then we can just take his joints and start attaching them accordingly. Like so. And that's what he looks like fully combined up. But I really don't like Axel. Axel, no. The motorbike Groove. I don't like how he sits. I really struggled to kind of get him all tabbed in properly. This is just going to come up, and that forms the knee pad. But that's what he looks like. He's a big, chunky bot. Bring him around, and we've got this port in the back. If you choose to, this can slide in and tab in like so, giving him those big shoulder-mounted cannons. We do have articulation on these arms. We have a double hinge up here. This one is very loose on my blades. You can go all the way around. We've got double bends on the arms as well. We've got full rotation on the wrists and on those fingers. There is a groove inside the hand, once straightened, which allows us to peg the guns in if that's the route you choose to take. There is a waist rotation like so. We no longer have an abdominal crunch because we lock that into place. We have hip skirts to the front and to the rear, which allow for legs to come this far forwards. Really nice solid joint there, that far back. Out to the side on a nice high kick. There is a bend on that knee, like so. Nice range on there. I think that's a pretty decent amount considering. And then on the feet we have pivot left and right, and we have that rotation in there. It's a good solid figure. It's just those shoulders do not like me at all. Maybe I've done something wrong with blades, not entirely sure, but let's just move that back up. That's pretty much my only real drawback, is that articulation and that loose joint on blades. Don't know what I've done wrong there. I'll have to take them apart and have a quick looky. His head can look up and down. We can go left and we can go right. Amazing sculpt on him. Absolutely adore this. Very IDW-esque in my opinion. Get some really good poses. See, that's the same on that side, isn't it? So maybe it's something to do with that joint. Let's get a quick scale comparison because I happen to have him to hand. Here he is alongside Fans Toys Willis. That gives you an idea. I mean, it's a fairly decent size. It's just not big enough to fit in with the MPs, I don't think. But Generation lovers, I think this is definitely an exceptionally well-made set. Not without its flaws. Obviously, those shoulders really don't like me. May have been something that I've done, or may have to just tighten the joints, maybe give those screws a tighten. But he looks sensational. Maketoys has done an amazing job with the original piece, and Yes Model have done an exceptional job oversizing it. It's a really good, solid Defensor, and definitely worth the wait. Thanks again to TF Direct for making this review possible. I've included a link in the description below where you can purchase each and every one of these glorious little figures. And until next time, from myself, Yes Model Vulcan, along with the rest of the Yes Model team, goodbye.